Hello everyone, welcome back to English with Aisha Siddiqui. I am doing special English for the second year BA students, and also universally you all can do the people who are interested in poetry and are doing specialization in poetry. You all are welcomed here and it will really benefit you. We have done the first part of the special English book that is of semester 3, the introduction of poetry, the theory of poetry. We've completed all the figure of speeches required to write poetry, the elements of poetry, the types of poetry, purpose of poetry, and many more things. People who have not watched the video and are interested to learn these topics, you all can go back to the previous videos and watch it and also give it a thumbs up if you like it. So we will be moving forward. We have already done in the previous video types of poetry wherein we did ballad and sonnet and everything. Now we need to know ballad, sonnet, epic, ode, all of this comes into which category of poetries. So the category of poetries we'll be doing today. Let's move forward. So you can see here category that is kinds of poetry. One is narrative poetry, then dramatic poetry, then lyrical poetry. So there are three kinds of poetry. Into these three kinds, the types of poetries are put. So wherein we have done before, in the previous video, we have done all the types of poetry, ballad, then we've done epic, ode, a sonnet, and many more, right? Hymn and elegy. So all of these poetries come into which categories you all will be learning now. So please stay tuned and pay attention. Okay. Now the first one is narrative, dramatic, lyrical. You all can write it down for more understanding. Let's move to the first one, that is dramatic poetry. A poem where the speaker is someone other than the poet themselves. A dramatic poem often includes characters and dialogues. A dramatic monologue is often from a fictional character's point of view. The first sentence, the name of the poetry itself tells you what it is. Example, dramatic poetry. Dramatic means drama, right? And in a drama you are not your natural self, who you are, right? If you are playing, you are acting in a play or in a drama, you have to become another character, right? In school we must have done, suppose we are doing a play on freedom fighters. So maybe one has become Mahatma Gandhi, then all the different freedom fighters, right? So we are playing though them, their character, and we are not how we are. We are playing their character, and therefore it's known as a drama or a play. Similarly, in a dramatic poetry, the speaker, the poet who's writing the poetry, is not showing himself or his feelings or he's not displaying his qualities, but rather he's displaying the qualities of another character or of another person, not himself. So you should remember, in a dramatic poetry, it's a drama going on and it's regarding someone else, not about the poet. A dramatic poem often includes characters and dialogues. So there are mostly characters. And why dialogues are there? Because if you are playing someone's character, so what all that person has said, you have to speak, right? So for example, if you've become a freedom fighter and you have to say that he said one day mataram, right? So you have to say that dialogue one day mataram. It's not your dialogue, you have not invented one day mataram or sare jahan se acha, right? So the person whoever has invented and written it, you have to become that character is being played and therefore his dialogue is being played. So in these poetries, the poet writes the dialogue of the other characters, and therefore his dialogues are not being said. A dramatic monologue. What do you mean by a dramatic monologue? It is often from a fictional character's point of view. So fictional character means the character who's being played his point of view is being displayed. So suppose sometimes a very negative type of poetry is being displayed or being read about some negative character or an evil character, does not mean that the poet is evil. Okay, that means he is displaying a dramatic poetry of an evil character, a fictional character, and his point of view is being displayed. For example, in this book that I'm referring to over here, it's kinds of poetry, and the dramatic poetry is given here, wherein dramatic monologue is explained, where we have just one speaker. The subject of the poem is the speaker himself. So the speaker is the one, not the poet, the person who he is displaying. He reveals different phases and different personalities. So the other person's personality is being displayed. Gradually, he or she develops a tempo of the poem leading to climax. So whatever happened in his life, what was the ending of his life, becomes the climax of the poetry. For example, Meeting at Night by Robert Browning. So you can type this on Google, Meeting at Night, and read that poetry and understand it is a dramatic poetry. The poet will not be speaking in that poetry. He must have displayed another person's character in it. Let's see the next type of poetry, the next category, the next kind of poetry, that is lyrical poetry. Now, what do you mean by lyrical? The word itself tells lyrics are there. Lyrics means, like just I said about a song, I explained about a song. When you like a song, when you like the lyrics of the song, when you can feel it, when your emotion gets attached to the lyrics of the songs, right? And when you can relate those lyrics according to your life, right? If you can relate them, you feel emotionally attached to that song or the poetry. Similarly, lyrical poetry means to express your emotions, appeal your senses. All your senses are activated, your feelings, your heart, your everything, and often could be set to music. So lyrical poetry is written mostly to write songs. Music is given to it and it is sung by singers, and it changes, the poetry actually changes to songs. So lyrical poetry, you can see, I will read out what all types of poetry comes under lyrical poetry. So I have done types of poetry and I'm just reading the four names. Sorry, there are three names. Three types of poetry comes under lyrical poetry. The first one is ode, sonnet. Sonnet comes under lyrical poetry, and elegy, ode, sonnet, elegy, and hymn. There are four. I'm sorry again. So there are four: ode, sonnet, elegy, and hymn. These are the four types of poetry that fall under lyrical poetry. Haiku. Now, I have already done a haiku in the previous video. Let's see. It is a three-line Japanese poetic form. In the lines follow the pattern of five syllable in the first line, seven syllable in the second line, and five syllable in third. So it is only a three-line poetry, just explained in a very random way, but it is three-line, not more than that, very short. So you can see now I've written this. I mean, the typing is done wrong, but it is actually a three-line poetry. For example, here that's given on slide. Will you turn towards me? I'm lone. Will you turn towards me? I'm lonely too this autumn evening. So it's actually three lines. Will you turn towards me? I am lonely too this autumn evening. It is a three-line haiku poetry. Moving forward to the third kind of poetry, that is narrative poems. What do you mean by narrative? To tell a story. To narrate something, that means I'm narrating that incident that happened. That means I'm telling the story what happened that day at that place at that event, right? So the poem that tells the sequence of events. That means I went there maybe at 7 o'clock, then we had a little bit of snacks, and then we danced together, we had fun, we ate this, we ate that, like events, like a flow of event, and the story is told in a narrative form, but it has a rhythm to it. The Song of Wandering Aengus. So you can go to Google and type this sentence, and you will find the poetry and you'll understand what is a narrative poetry. It is said into a narrative way, describing the story that is being said in the poem. So I will tell you which are the type of narrative poems. So ballad, epic. These are the two poetries that fall into the category of narrative poems. And it is actually, I have already explained you what is a ballad, what is an epic, right? So these two things, if you're the ones who have not seen it, you can go to the previous videos and see it, and understand why they fall into the category of narrative poetries. And if you all want to understand in more detailing, you all can type narrative poetry examples and you'll find many narrative poetries and understand, because narrative poetry is actually very vast. So you all need to understand what is narrative poetry. These were the three kinds of poetry, that is narrative, lyrical, dramatic, and all the other types of poetries fall into them. I hope you all understood all the different kinds of poetries. In the coming lecture, I will be doing a topic of poetry itself, as poetry is very lengthy. It seems to be very easy, but it is very difficult when it comes to writing and learning poetry. I hope you all understood everything. Take care. Do keep seeing all the videos and learning new things every day. It will definitely improve you.